They live together. They've been living together for 11 years, I think, and they're divorced. And I asked her one day, why don't you ever remarry? And she said, out of her fear, said, I don't want him to feel safe.
So. Yeah. Is he violent with her?
He was, yeah. He's been sober for 12 years.
She's just got so much stuff. You've really taken on a lot of her fear to try to stabilize her. It's like, as a little girl, it's like this thing of feeling guilty for being a burden on someone who already had so much fear going on and so much survival stuff that it's like you're getting programmed real early, like, God, you just can't pull on me at all because I can't take one more thing. And that putting in a guilt in your space about ever needing anything.
Yep.
You know?
I heard that all the time.
Yeah. And it's just, it's like if you put on too much pressure, I could go crazy, you know, or...
Those are the exact wordings.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I'm deprogramming out of, literally out of your genetics. I mean, this is like programmed into the systems of your physical body, you know. And when a person programs it in on that level, it's like your body's what ends up in reaction when things are going on. So that if there's trauma or fear or not good enough stuff going on, some people don't take that into their body. They work through it on other levels. For you, it's going to hit your body first, because that's where it is. It's going to create the contraction in your colon and the holding back in your sexual area, and it's going to create the shallowness of breathing that's going to affect your heart.
Like panic attacks?
Yeah.
I have them.
Yeah.
But just in the last year.
Yeah. It's like your breathing gets so shallow that the heart starts to get irregular, and then that's when the hyperventilating happens. You know? And it's because something's like building up, and then when the hyperventilating happens, it like explodes, and then it feels like panic instead of dealing with it in a regular pattern as it comes along. But all I can tell you, sweetie, is it's in your it's programmed in your genetics, and that's what I want to get out of there. Okay, now, there's a big belief system in your genetic area that you brought in with you, and it's in your genetic tapes. And I need you to formulate, again, a picture or a symbol to represent this belief. And this is a belief that you came into this life with, okay? And what that belief is that it's like if you're, excuse my expression, it's like if you're born a woman, you're just shit out of luck, basically. It's like, it's not safe to be a woman on this planet, is the belief. And it makes it almost like automatic, you know, women get raped, women get beat up, women get hurt, women get abandoned, you know, they get, God, it's just, you know, like this long list of why it's not safe to be born a woman, and if you are a woman, you're automatically may as well expect to be a victim. Can I give you an image that I saw and see if this works for you? I just saw this picture of like you in present time wearing a kind of long skirt, at least halfway down to your feet from your knees, and it's like you have this big target in front of you, like for a dart game or for someone doing archery or something. And it's kind of like I'm a sitting target. And then I'd like you to just cancel that picture several times in red. And then tear it up and burn it in a violet and electric blue flame. Really make sure this one burns up good. It's a big picture in here. was. It's like the carrying of that belief and the fear that it brought with it and the pain. It's like if you imagine having a cassette tape and somebody just like shredding it so that it's barely held together by little thin threads. That's kind of what your genetic tapes look like in that area. It's like they're just kind of barely held together by these little threads where all the pain and the fear have been about being a woman. And so I'm going to have to do some repair work on that. Now, there's another picture in there. As I'm getting this one cleared out, I'm seeing it's kind of like a little farther along on that genetic tape. But it's kind of an offshoot from this other belief system, or it's not like it. It's like it's like a side cart, you know. It's like a side cart on a motorcycle. If the motorcycle's a belief, you know, this is like the cart. This belief is that you're a little safer if you always pretend like everything's okay. And it's kind of like if you deny that anything's wrong and you look like everything's okay, then maybe people will not notice you so much. You know? Especially your dad. Is he the one who sexually abused you?
Who?
Your dad?
No. Okay. No, he was an older man. On a motorcycle.
Oh, interesting. The motorcycle image kept coming in. Huh. I kept thinking, why am I getting the example of the motorcycle? This is pretty stupid, but I kept seeing it there. So it wasn't anyone that you knew?
Mm-mm.
Now, there's another one in there did you already burn that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's another one that's real similar to it, but it kind of says there is no place to hide. So, you have to kind of like not draw attention to yourself. It's like disappear in the woodwork. Hold your breath as part of it. Stand perfectly still. Don't draw any attention to yourself. Don't change your facial expression. You can't hide, but you can try to be a statue. You know. And you might even want to just see a picture of like you trying to be a statue with the motorcycle coming up. Yeah, that would be a good picture. And then again, canceling it a few times, tearing it up and burning it. Violet. You need some electric blue in this one again too. The violet and electric blue together.
Okay, that one was harder to burn.
Okay, I'm going to just be doing some healing in there again. How's your neck and back of your head feeling right now?
Good.
Okay. burning in those areas sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Imagine. I mean, it's like the whole spine from the first thoracic up was filled with your mother's shock energy.
Mm-hmm.
And a little of your own. Mostly hers. And I'm still, kind of clearing all that out, doing some healing. It's like the shock is cleared out, but where it was, it's left on a psychic level the equivalent of scar tissue. And that's what I'm trying to clear up right now. It's like some nervous system damage in there. Now there's a contract in there with your mother that I would like you to burn. So if you want to just visualize a legal contract with her, your name and hers on the bottom. And the contract is that because you know that just your existence has been a burden, you'll always share her burdens. It's kind of like you'll never abandon her, but psychically you'll always share her pain, her fear, her burdens. And then you need to void that contract and tear it up and burn it. Would you say your name and your mother's name?
Cynthia Renee Gillis-Howard, Doris Jane McMillan.
Okay, the neck area looks better. The genetics mostly look better. There's just still a little area of some of her fear right on the top of the genetic. There's something called the genetic entity in the lower brain, and that's what I've been working on. It's a place where like our genetic tapes and genetic programmings for this body and this life are. Now there's another contract that's holding this in with your mother, and it's so if you want to just see another contract between the two of you, and this is the contract that you will make the first priority purpose of your life to make her life easier in whatever way it takes. Void that in your own handwriting and then tear it up and burn it. Just a regular fire is fine. Cindy, do you own any crystals?
Do I own any?
Or know a place to get like a nice quartz crystal, at least 1.5 inches long or so. Okay. If you feel like doing this, I'm going to tell you what I'd recommend as a piece of homework, okay? And that is that you go out and buy yourself at least 1/2 to 3/4 inch in diameter. It can be bigger, but not small. I wouldn't get one smaller. 1/2 to 3 inch, 1/2 to to 3/4 of an inch diameter and at least a couple of inches long. Real nice clear crystal. Doesn't have to be polished, but just so it has some clarity in the tip, okay? And then when you first get the crystal, just soak it overnight in some salt water. And then sit with it in your right hand and squeeze it. And for at least 1 full minute, come up with an affirmation that works for you. But the affirmation needs to be something to the effect of, I am a sacred being, or I am a divine being of light, I am a sacred being of light, I am a sacred being of divine light, love, and joy. And after you've made that initial statement of I am, then you need to follow it with, and I deserve to be the best I can be. So it would read something to the effect of, I am a divine and sacred being of love, light, joy, peace, and I deserve to be the best I can be. Or I deserve to be, well, I think the best I can be is probably, a really good way of saying it. But kind of work until you come up with an affirmation along those lines that really works for you. And then when you've got the affirmation, sit with that crystal in your right hand, and before you start the affirmation, what I'd like you to do is just take a deep breath, and then squeezing the crystal really hard, hold your breath to the count of 20, and then exhale real hard from your solar plexus through your nose. So you'll be holding your breath, and it'll actually sound something like this. And then we'll just pretend I've already counted to 20. So then when you exhale, it's kind of like, okay? So it's a real hard exhale, like jerking your stomach, your solar plexus in when you exhale to really force the air out quickly through the lungs. And when you do that, you give the crystal an extra squeeze. Okay? Now what that does is puts the crystal into affinity with your heartbeat. It actually lines it to be in affinity with your heartbeat, which is in alignment with your soul vibration, okay? Then you sit and hold that crystal for a minimum of 1 minute while just repeating that affirmation over and over again, okay? Then what you do is for 40 days, 40 days and 40 nights kind of thing, but at least 10 minutes a day, sit with that crystal in your left hand and just hold it and breathe, and occasionally say the affirmation to yourself. And when you're doing that, just imagining a violet flame kind of going through your body and releasing anything that's in the way of that being fully manifest in your life. And this is going to bring stuff up. I mean, it's going to bring the low self-worth and things right to the surface, but in a way that you can get a handle on them and deal with them. You can transform them through prayer. You can use violet flame. You can burn belief system pictures like we've been doing. When things come up, think, okay, there's another negative belief about myself. There's another not good enough. I'm going to stop right now, get an image for that, and transform it in the violet flame. And that 40-day cycle can create a major pattern break. And I will warn you, it will bring some stuff up probably. Maybe not consciously. It may bring it up in your life. For some people, they feel just a gradual shifting into their essence. And for some, they feel a lot of purging that happens first. But I'd say this is like a fundamental thing that you might want to work with. A guy might want to get one crystal for himself and do the same thing, but you should have your own separate crystals, and neither one of you should hold the other's crystal, because this is one that you're using for a very specific purpose. Make sure that when you're programming it by putting the affirmation in, that every word in the affirmation is positive. It's like you never want to program it with anything like, I don't deserve to be hurt anymore, I only deserve love. Then just put in the statement, I deserve love. Leave words out like don't and not and things like that. Okay?
And the 40 days is in the left hand?
Yeah. because that's your receiving side. So you program it through the right. That's where you put energy out. And then you hold it in your left hand to receive that energy back in. So what's actually happening when you're holding it in your left hand is that energy that you've programmed in the crystal is coming back into you. And because it's coming back in a crystalline form, it just starts going right in your cells and your chakras and moving anything out that's of a lower vibration. You know, so it can be very powerful. Alright, would you say your name and your mother's again?
Cynthia Renee Gillishammer. Doris Jane McMillan.
Okay, the area in the back of the neck looks better. There's also some of her fear energy blocking your crown. To get that out. You know, Cindy, it's real interesting that even though your mother sometimes is so caught up in her own stuff, she may not have always seemed to give as much. But I just see that there were times when it's like you and her life were her source of believing there was something good left in the world. It's really interesting. I mean, some of these pictures are like her just clinging to your crown chakra, like, if I didn't have you to believe in, I might give up hope. You know? Real interesting. I think that's part of your feeling sorry for your mother-in-law, too. I'm just clearing her out of your crown. Is that, you know, that thing of knowing that in some ways, even though maybe there was some extra charge on it, that, you know, she had so much going on that taking care of a child was a burden in some ways, but it's also what gave her some sort of a positive purpose, you know?
My mother?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Now, would you say your name and your mother-in-law's name?
My mother-in-law?
Uh-huh.
Cynthia Renee Gillishammer. Loretta Marie Gillishammer.
Okay. I just wanted to see what the second chakra area looked like now that we've done all this other clearing, too. There's a little more of her energy I want to clear out of your aura, and the healing I did on the second took care of the internal part, but it's still kind of like right on the surface of the second chakra, so let me just finish getting that out. Pain erasure. I was also shown some kind of like tarry-like energy around the base of the tailbone area, and it's kind of was there something in your husband's reading about the grounding area between the two of you, between him and his mother, or something along those lines, something around the first chakra and grounding each other? Anything like that?
Between us two?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so.
Yeah. What I'm seeing is it looks like that there has been a time and I don't see it there now, but where you and Guy had a cord going between your, like the base of the tailbone, right at the first chakra area. It's around survival stuff, you know, and kind of keeping each other grounded when one or the other was in fear. And it looks like through that cord that sometimes you would pass like some of your pain or fear back and forth between each other. And I'm seeing some repositories in your first chakra from like some of Guy's survival fear energy that's kind of sat there and turned into pain and resistance. So I'll get that cleaned out. And partly you kind of let it in thinking like, well, if this is something his mother's done doing for him, kind of grounding him in this situation, then maybe if I do it for him, then he won't need his mother as much, you know. There is a cord, there is a contract between you and Guy on this. And it's a psychic agreement if you want to just see like a contract with his name's at the bottom. And the contract is basically saying that anything, quote unquote, that you can do to help him break free from his mother, you'll do. Anything that you can do to help him get free from his mother, that you'll do. So it's kind of like, well, if he'd rely on her for his first chakra cord, then he'd have it with you instead, you know? So we need to burn this contract, and if you want to have one, then I can help you rephrase it. But just go and avoid and burn that agreement. Okay, and if you want to make another agreement, then you can just imagine Guy standing about 4 feet in front of you. And just tell him that the two of you can work together to become independent of her. And yet, doing it in a way where you don't take on his problems and he doesn't take on yours. You know, that psychically, that you'll keep it clear, where he doesn't, you know, clear up stuff with his mother by putting it in your space, or you don't clear up stuff with your past or with his mother through putting it into his space, you know. It's like, we'll each deal with our own psychic energy, but we can support each other in this. You know? And that you always have freedom of choice in how to do that. That's another important clause. So you can just sort of see him out there and just kind of communicate that. Because it does look like the two of you want to support each other on that issue.
Okay.
Okay, now say your name and the mother-in-law's name one more time.
Cynthia Renee Gillishammer. Loretta Marie Gillishammer.
Okay, that looks like all I'm supposed to work on that right now. You look pretty clear. I mean, when you said the names, I saw your energy kind of like resonate all up and down your spine that time. Like there wasn't any contraction in it. I don't know, could you feel the shift?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
That wasn't
Okay.
as frightening.
Yeah, yeah. And you might just, you know, one other quickie thing, okay? Just see her standing about 4 feet out in front of you. This is just a way of communicating on a being level. And as you do it, I want you to just imagine that your auric field is like coming out to about 2 feet around you, and it's like a bubble. And I want you to just tell her very, very directly that you are not willing to take on any programming or psychic energy from her at all. And that you're aware that you have your issues to work on, but that she is not allowed to interfere with you or play on those issues while you're in the process of doing your healing and growth. And tell her on this planet that freedom of choice is the bottom line, and that if she interferes with your freedom of choice on this, that she takes on all the karma for it, because you have spoken your intent to not allow her to do that anymore. So no matter what agreements would allow that they're all null and void, they're all broken at this time, and that if she chooses to psychically interfere in your space, that she will have to accept full responsibility for the repercussions of it. And then I want you to just imagine a beam of light going into the top of her head from the sun. And just see that kind of pull her right out of the room. Okay. The only other thing I'm getting to mention to you about that while we're talking, and I'm always a little hesitant on this because I think people are going to think I'm just trying to advertise stuff, but I have some tapes on psychic self-care and how to have boundaries and how to clear your own space. And if you ever want to do anything like that, let me know, because they're $15 for each 2.5-hour set. And they're really good self-help tools on it. What it is I teach a psychic self-care and self-healing program.
Oh, I love that.
And so if you, ever want to get the tapes, there's basically 5 of them in all. And even if you only did like the first 3 would be the ones that I think are really vital. And there's stuff about really learning how to ground and own your boundaries and how to clear things from your space on a regular basis. All the tapes are about that, but the first 3 are kind of the most crucial. So anyway.
And how do we do that? Do you
just let me know. Yeah, I can just mail them to you if you want. You can also buy one at a time if you want to try it out. If you want to get class 1 or something like that.
Can you mail me the first one?
Yeah, and the other thing is I realized as soon as I was saying that, I'm not sure if I have any extra copies right now, so I'll have to check, and if I don't, I'll have to get a copy made for you.
Okay.
So, if I don't, I'll go on and mail this and not hold it up, but make a note to do that later on. Okay. Now, I think, that's all I'm supposed to do as far as the mother-in-law is concerned. Now, on a health level, the colon is a real important area right now to do some focusing on. I'm seeing a lot of kind of dark blocked energy in that area. Have you been doing anything to help get that area clear?
I'm not sure. The only thing that I've known to do in the last week is walk around with just in a white bubble. Because at work it is so dysfunctional that I've tried to stay so protected.
You might want to use a violet instead.
A violet?
Yeah. If you want the white tends to freeze things in time and space. So if you do get something in your space, it's actually going to make it stay there. Gold kind of works better. A white that glows gold. If you want to have that around your aura, I'd recommend that when you go into work that you keep at least a 6 to 8 inch border of violet, because violet is on a real high vibrational frequency, and there's just a lot of dark energies and disincarnate kind of entities and things that cannot tolerate that energy field, so they'll stay away. So I would really recommend putting violet around the aura. Okay, now what I would recommend right now, let me just do a total check-in. There's a need to do some actual colon cleansing, physically, to get the colon cleared out. And there are a lot of different ways, so what I want to do is just tune into your guides and see if they can give me the method that will work best for you. Okay, there's a product that you can get through health food stores carry it, and it's called Sony, S-O-N-N-E.
S-O-N-N-E?
Sony, colon cleanser. And it's a mixture of psyllium seed, and some herbs. And it's really good. Like when you're taking it, you have to really drink a lot of water because that keeps things flushing through. But that starts kind of scraping the intestinal walls and breaking things down that are stored in there. And then the ideal way to use that in the beginning is in conjunction with either a fast or a very, very simple diet. Like, do you like papayas?
I've never really had them.
Well, I don't know if you're open at all even to doing the idea of a fast, but there's a way of doing it that it's really not so bad. And what I'm getting is that it would be good for you to do about 3 days of, there's a type of drink that the health food stores can order called papaya nectar. And it's a mixture of papaya and pineapple and maybe grape juice, I'm not sure. And it's really wonderful for giving the digestive tract not only a break from the digestive process, but it also heals the digestive system. And it looks like in your stomach and small intestine there's kind of an acidic kind of imbalance going on.
I feel it.
Huh?
I feel that.
Yeah. And what this would do, if you could do this for 3 days, is it would give your digestive tract a rest, and then also put in something. The papaya and the pineapple both are very healing for the digestive system. And then during that time, you could eat as much fresh papaya as you want. So you wouldn't have to go hungry at all. And I'm getting that would be nothing else but that. Not even pineapple. Yeah. It looks like, do you see papayas in the groceries there?
Mm-hmm.
Good, okay. So I hope you like them. If you don't, the alternative would be papaya nectar juice, which I think even if you don't like papayas, you'll be able to handle it because the other juices help, change the flavor a little. And then you'll want to wait, like when you're doing the juice, you can drink as much of that. You'll probably want to dilute it half and half with water. But drink as much of the juice as you want. But when you're ready to eat, if you don't eat papayas, you can eat apples instead. Okay? If you can get organic apples, that's what you really need to do. And have an hour before eating the apples that you don't have any papaya juice, and then a half hour after eating apples before you have papaya juice again. Okay? So if you eat papayas, you don't have to wait at all. You can have juice and papayas together, But if you're going to eat apples instead of papayas, try to get organic. If you can't get organic, peel them. Just a little bit of peeling off. And then you'll want an hour before eating the apples and a half hour after, before having juice again. And you can also drink as much just plain water as you want. It's important to eliminate any kind of coffee or anything with sugar or anything else along those lines during those 3 days. Now, the other thing is, if you want to build up to this, you could do maybe 3 days before going on it of like eating nothing but just like cooked vegetables, like buying vegetables and steaming them to whatever tenderness you like, and having that with some just brown rice or whole grain. And you can have that and some fruits for about 3 days in advance. No raw salad, but you could have fruits right, too. Peaches, but they're out of season. Cherries would be okay, but they're out of season. So you can eat any fruits you want, and you could have any kind of like cooked whole grain, probably other than wheat, looks like, and cooked vegetables. And to do that for anywhere from 3 to 7 days before going on the fast would also give your system like a pre-fast cleanse, you know. And then when you start the papaya juice thing, use the intestinal cleanser. And the recommended is to do enemas. Or if you have someone around who gives colonics, probably not there. But if you can do enemas each of those days, would be really good too. And if that's something you just can't make yourself do, then just do the colon cleansing thing. The soni is very important, and you mix that with the juice and drink it right away because it tends to kind of thicken real quickly. So that would be a big help to, I mean, it looks to me like you could kind of be like, I don't know, like pre-hernia or ulcer stage almost. And you're going to need, after you come off of this, to start really focusing, like, nothing acidic, no sodas, I mean, if you wanted sodas, you could probably have things like the sugar-free grape type or apple types from the health food stores, but not anything like Pepsi or Coke or even 7-Up, those kinds of things. The sugar is real hard on your small intestine and your pancreas right now. Your digestive tract just looks kind of out of balance in general. So even when you come off the fast, it'd be good to kind of come off it, like maybe the first day eating, I mean, it's not going to be a true fast because you're going to be having fruit too. But as you come off of it, maybe the first day just have some kind of a simple soup, maybe miso. You can go to the health food store and buy some ramen or that kind of thing. Or you can make a simple vegetable soup and have that the first day. And maybe a fruit meal and a soup type meal. And then the second day, maybe have some cooked vegetables and some soup. And then the third day, you could add the grain back in. Okay? And then in your diet, it looks like you need to eliminate citrus and, caffeine and things like that.
I drink a lot of coffee, so...
That's going to be a little hard. You may have to cut down slowly. In fact, you may want to cut down slowly so that when you do the fast, it won't hit your system quite so hard. The other thing is, as you cut down, take vitamin C. Because people can almost completely cut out any withdrawal by taking about 20 grams of vitamin C a day. So if you go cold turkey, take 20 grams of a really good quality vitamin C. And if you start to get like the runs or something, back off on how much you're taking. And don't take it all at once. It's like, start out with maybe a dose of 4 grams and then maybe 2 an hour or something like that during the daytime. Okay, now, the other thing with the coffee is there's a product in the health food stores called Inca, and there's something called Cafix and Pero. My experience as a coffee lover is that the Inca is the best. If you can get it. INKA. It's a grain beverage that tastes kind of like coffee. If you start like lessening the amount of coffee by mixing it like half coffee and half a cup of this grain beverage with hot water, then you can graduate yourself off of it till you're down to the point that you're having a cup of the grain beverage with a couple of tablespoons of coffee in it. And then when you go on the fast, you'll just cut it all away. So you may want to kind of graduate yourself down on the coffee some before you go on this cleanse. Yeah, it's starting to do some damage in your stomach, and I don't think it's too late to reverse it, but it needs to happen. I mean, I'm seeing some like kind of raw places in there. The other thing that you should stay away from completely, it looks like, is pork.
Pork.
Do you still eat meat?
I don't eat beef. But I eat pork and chicken and turkey.
Yeah, it looks like some chicken and turkey and fish would be fine, but I would stay away from the red meats altogether. They're really starting to build up in your colon, and you just have the digestive ability to break them down. It's looks like it's really creating also some like lipids, build up of certain kinds of fatty acids in the body, and those are needing to.
Well, I knew with beef, it just, I mean, it doesn't appeal to me anyway, the taste, but poultry, or pork is different.
Yeah, I would stay away from that altogether. I mean, you know, you're going to have to do it the way you can, you know, maybe even if it's have it once a week for a while or until you get used to it, but it's taking a toll on your body right now. Okay. I'm just doing some healing on the etheric body around the stomach area.
Is that why I would feel so sick after I eat?
I would be surprised if you didn't. I mean, it's like beginning ulcer stage right now.
I felt it the worst in the last 2 days.
There's also some herniation around the top, the duodenal area. But I mean, it's gonna really take like getting serious on a major dietary kind of change to stop it at the level it's at and start healing it. You know. The other thing that you can do to help yourself is just like hold your hands in front of your stomach and imagine holding a ball of kind of